we're going now to the impeachment trial of Vice President Sara Duterte. So on day 10, which was July 29, Wednesday, the terms unusual but not illegal, and then yun na, yung duffel bags, pinagusapan, cash brought through the side door. What did you make of all of that, Dean Tony? And we're just seeing the tip of the money iceberg.
It looks like we will be following the money trail, right? And it looks like we might see where it's actually going to lead, right? I mean, for the confidential funds issue, it should lead to who did the money go to?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, who did the money go to? Did it really go for intelligence funds, the purpose of intelligence funds? Which, by the way, I think is actually should be abolished, including the intelligence funds of the president. I mean, if there's defense security needs, it should be in the security agencies, period, diba? And not anyone to just imagine what confidential funds should be. So right now, I feel good about where we are. I think that Senator Escudero, they're exaggerated by stopping Laila de Lima's opening remarks. It's opening remarks. It's like he's saying that this is what we will prove, right? That's what you're supposed to say in the opening remarks. There was no prejudgment.
No conclusion of law there.
No conclusion of law there. We're just saying that this is what we will prove at the end of it. So, but I think in the core of it, I can smell the trail. You know what I mean? And I think the defense will lose all the substantive objections on whether the bank records and then the AMLC records are relevant or not, because they are relevant to the impeachment.
Inday.
Yeah, talking about cheese and the rules of the impeachment court, I think Dean Tony said earlier, masyado tayong legalistic eh. I hope that the prosecution fights back on this. It helped i-open nila konti yung proseso dyan sa impeachment court. Parang, people get bored, they turn away because, they go through all this little nitpicking stuff there. No? So hopefully, right now, it's very clear, of course, Michael Powa didn't even bother,
One question sa cross.
Because klaro naman there's no arguing with the facts, May cheque, may withdrawal. Tsaka at this point, sinabi ng bank managers na unusual para sa atin, di ba? Parang sabi nga ng taxi driver, sinakyan ko, we were listening together, parang, sindikato.
Talaga, yan ang sabi niya.
Nagulat ako, taxi driver Pero, but so far, sinabi nila, it's unusual, pero it was covered, apparently, it was covered by all these documents and all these legal processes. I think mag-aaway na pagdating sa ano ang ginawa ni Sara sa perang ginawa.
Right, yung expenditure, and liquidation
so next
issue.
Week, probably.
Next week, abangan. Sabi nga ni BBM abangan na susunod na kabanata. Pom, can you address yung, di ba, so dati kang government din, di ba? So, ang sinasabi nila kasi... Ay nga pala, UP, sorry. But what I meant is as a Finance Undersecretary. So, syempre, ang daming nagsasabi kasi na, bakit kasi ganyan, di ba? Pwede namang magpagawa ka na lang ng mga cheque. This is where, with those confidential funds, I need to pay so and so. Parang gawa ka ng maayos na paper trail para hindi ka masilipan or mabutasan.
Well, again, kasi we were talking about this before we started. No? I think we have a lot of takeaways, even from, kasi this is also related to the flood control mess.
Yeah.
Are there sufficient controls sa government transactions? Ganyan. Is there sufficient transparency? No, it turns out, parang wala. No? Why are we so in love with cash? So that's another thing. No? So this is something to think about. No? The love affair with cash, I can talk about this kasi economist ako. Usually, cash, nagiging dominant siya sa isang economy pag maraming illegal activity.
Yeah.
So, can we,
Maleta, di ba?
can we, and then when we
Bayong
look
maleta.
at other countries, they're transitioning away. They haven't really eliminated it totally. Pero, wala nga kasing paper trail ng cash. Kaya, I mean, if there's something illegal, you can count on it will have some cash to
Yeah.
kind of grease it or whatever. No? So, we have to rethink then the monetary system.
Ang point yan.
How are we going? Kasi part of reducing corruption is to make sure that the ways to commit it are reduced also.
Yeah.
So how do we transition more to a system where there's less cash, but also more transparency? Ganyan.
Di ba computerized, may e-gov, etc. Ang
Well,
daming plano, di
dapat
ba?
may controls din
Yeah.
yun eh.
Yeah, okay.
So yan.
Yeah. A while ago, Dean Tony, you mentioned na nga, di ba, yung mga pag-submit. So, Thursday, July 30, was the deadline for submission of the banks.
Documents.
All the documents of the bank. So we have the photograph that was taken by the Senate of all those boxes ng mga submissions. So, nandun yung mga Security Bank, Land Bank, BDO, BPI, etc., Metrobank, etc. And yung BIR, the BIR boxes.
BIR.
Red na ngayon ang box.
Office of the Commissioner. Yeah.
Oo.
Okay. Yeah.
So, yun, nasubmit na siya. No, this
These
is
are
the one.
pictures.
Oh, and this is a photograph taken by the Senate staff
The
themselves.
ITRs are here.
Ha?
The ITRs are there.
And did they brought
Yeah, BIR,
Yeah.
ITR.
BIR.
Oo. So, ito yung actual, and then I was thinking, ito lang. I wonder kung meron, But anyway, okay. The other thing is, kanina lang, Dean Tony, you were saying, to follow the money trail. And I wanted to bring this up because during the ERP impeachment trial, so it was the first impeachment trial that we, so I covered that. And then I remember one of the private prosecutors, Simeon Marcelo.
Yeah.
He's the guy who did the direct examination of Chavit Singson. He was a favorite ng kaming mga reporters. So we would always do ambush interviews and sometimes off the record. And he was such a great guy. Nagtuturo siya, yung nagkikwento siya. And then he said something that stuck with me since then. And he said, I have advice for you, kayo mga reporters. I want you to listen, okay? This is all I'm going to tell you. Follow the bouncing ball, follow the money.
Yep.
And so, even nung Corona impeachment trial, nung kinover ko rin, yan din ginawa, as in, nililista ko lahat. Talagang sinusundan ko yung pera. Because that's the whole point of this whole impeachment trial, hindi ba? Dean Tony?
Yeah, exactly.
Susundan lang natin to.
Yeah, exactly. And so, ang end of the road dyan sa issue na ito, magkaibang issue ito sa hidden wealth.
Yeah.
Ang end of the road sa issue na ito is the testimony of the custodian of funds of the OVP and DepEd that received these funds. Yung mga nag-withdraw, saan mo dinala ang pera? Kanino mo binigay ang pera? That's the one.
Yeah.
that
Yung paglabas nila ng
yung
side
paglabas niya
door
sa bangko,
ng branch.
red branch, di ba? Saan mo inuwi yung pera? Kanino mo next binigay? Di ba? Kanino mo dinistribute? Magkano pumunta kay VP Sara? Di ba? That's the questions I expect them to be asking. Unlike sa hidden wealth, ang hidden wealth is very simple. Actually, a simpler case siya than confidential funds. It's simply, ang dami mong pera doon
Bakit
Saan nang galing
6.7
yan, di ba?
billion,
Kasi
oo.
unexplained wealth yun, di ba? Yung parang so those are two different things. But it follows this principle. Follow the bouncing ball, follow the money.
It's something that stuck.
I think I mentioned because Madriaga, di ba, before, he had mentioned na
Sa
binigyan
Quadcom,
siya ng
yeah.
125 million actually. So parang, ito ba yun?
Oo.
Yung sinasabi
Meron nga
niya.
nagsasabi nung trial, hindi ba ito yung sinabi nga ni Madriaga? So,
Ano yung sinabi ni Madela? Saan pumunta yung 125 million? After yun?
Pinamigay niya rin sa mga
kanino?
Iba-ibang
Kay Mary Grace
individuals.
Piatos.
sa mga
Hindi.
ibang
Ano?
mga
Military.
mga usually para mga security adjacent people, ganun.
Security
So they
adjacent.
just divided it among themselves.
Pero
Yan.
makikita mo rin because the COA, because may ni COA, tinatanong sila ng COA, bakit kailangan ng rewards? Sinong pinagre-rewardan ng Office of the Vice President? Wala naman
For information about what?
Oh, yeah, exactly,
Exactly.
about what. So,
Yeah, okay.
importante yun.
Oo. There are two other things about an impeachment trial and this one, which appears in our Constitution. Public office is public trust. And this other one, it was a quote of Associate Justice Isagani Cruz, and he said, impeachment is a national inquest into the conduct of public men. And then he stopped at public men. So I just added the end women because now it is female who is on trial now, no, in this impeachment trial. Okay, we're going to go.
just
Yes,
here.
go ahead, please.
This is what I mean when we should open up that process. Because as of
Yes.
now, a legalistic process
Oo.
only limits information within, those with specialty knowledge and all that. Tulad ni Pia Cayetanong pinangangandalakan, abogado lang yata nakakaintindi. We want everybody to understand it. And so they should open up those rules a little.
Okay. Did you listen to her contra Sona?
Oo, hindi na natin pag-uusapan.
Hindi na. Okay. Okay. Next is the latest survey, and then we'll go through this very quickly. So we have 5 slides. This is middle of June 2026, 2 weeks before the trial started. So we have 3 slides of ang tinatawag ng WR Numero, si Robin Garcia, ay yung factional partisanship. And it's interesting because here you can see, so 37, it's a great representation kasi kita mo kaagad, syempre, berde, green para kay Sara, 37%. Tapos 18% Marcos. And then 20% opposition, meaning Lenny, Risa, Bam, etc. Tapos 24% none of the above. So yung pino-point out lang ni Robin Garcia sa akin, yung ang laki-laki pa rin ng 24%. No? And then, in the next slide, okay, eto lang, we can see kung saan hinuhugot ng pro-Duterte yung mga numero nila. Tapos yung black is none of the above. Bumababa siya. So parang, and this is June 2026, so we have no idea yet what's going to happen.
I think
Because of the
partly
trial,
none of the
Inday.
above could have to do with the fact that the opposition still has nothing clear to say. So people
Kung sino
are-
yung tatakbo.
Oo, so people are
Kumbaga.
also like,
Parang okay kung,
hold back
parang
muna kayo.
hindi pa kayo
Hindi pa kayo
nagdedesisyon.
nag-aayusan niya, bakit ako magde-decide? Diba?
Okay, let's look at the third slide, factional. So this is just by area, and then predictably, very clear, 80% for Mindanao, the Dutertes. Metro Manila, meron pa siyang 21%, pero 32% ang
Ang laki rin.
negative.
Pag-aaway
Malaki
yan.
pa rin, di ba?
30% yung di ba, wala sa mga nabanggit.
Pag-aawayan
Hindi,
nila yan,
32% yung wala sa
32.
nabanggit. Ganon, 21.7. And then, okay, I wanted you to see this first so that you can see doon naman sa presidential preferences. So, syempre, ang number 1 pa rin in the next slide is Sara with 39.4%, and then Lenny 20.9%, and then followed by Rafi, Bongo, Bam, Risa, and then yung mga hindi pa sigurado. So, ang laki pa rin ng not sure. And then, ang daming nag-react kasi parang, okay, andyan pa si Lenny, di ba?
Hindi ko
But
maintindihan
she
bakit
said
nandyan
she-
pa rin si Lenny na sinabi
Yeah.
na niya hindi siya tatakbo, di ba?
Unless they know
Because
something we don't.
those numbers will change once Lenny's out, di ba? So I don't know. A lot of it will probably go to Tulfo, to
Inday
Bam,
is,
to
Inday
Risa.
is, baka naman Lenny's running, baka alam mo.
No, I have no idea. And I tend to
believe her
believe,
when she says
I
she's
tend
not
to believe
talaga.
Lenny. The problem is, the politicians who are close to Lenny
Want
keep
her
on
to-
insisting, keep
Yeah.
on interjecting that hindi pa may pag-asa pa.
Because
So
there are
that,
people who
because
still
true,
believe in
well,
her and still want her
that's
to run.
True, that's true naman. I mean, in fairness, people do want her, some
Yeah,
people
because
do
they
want
think
her
she
to
is
run.
the who can beat Sara. And 19% na lang yung difference nila eh.
Pero-
Kasi
Ang
dati,
laki ng undecided, di ba?
Oo.
So pag nagkaisa sila lahat, either, I think Lenny, even, let's say si Lisa ang basta magkaisa lang sila, I think either Lenny, Bam, and Risa can push, for the other. I think yan ang key dyan eh.
Yeah.
Hanggat hindi sila makapag-decide,
Oo. Pero kaya ba nila kung walang alliance with the Marcos administration? Because that's something also
Well,
pinag-uusapan.
ang problema kasi dito, an alliance with the Marcos administration is a kiss of death for the opposition. Para itong GMA, di ba, what happened to Villar, yung tinawag ng Villarroyo, what happened to Gilbert Chodoro was actually a good candidate. Di ba, the moment na bahira ng GMA, she was so unpopular, di ba, na wala nang ano. So I think na the moment people see na may alliance,
Na may
di ba, with
alliance.
Marcos, and Marcos is supporting this candidate, or even if it's not true, di ba, but iba black prop na, oy, kandidato yan ni
Kandidato
Marcos.
ni BBM yan.
Walang chance.
Yeah.
I think anyone that's going to be pro Marcos or but I cannot see Marcos rebounding from what the unpopularity that he has.
Ako din, I mean, if you look at all the figures earlier in the previous slides, do they actually need Marcos at this point? If they ever thought, because I'm not saying that they did, if they ever thought it. Also, Rizal, Lenny, Bam, sino pa dyan, meron silang moral stance that people have believed in for a long time, even if you may disagree on them in some cases, wala kang question dun sa moral stance nila. What would it say, to suddenly alliance with forge an alliance with Marcos? I mean, where does that put your moral position?
Yeah.
But
But it
maybe
would just be
that's
strange,
me.
an administration without a candidate in 2020. And then there's a last slide na lang. And Pom, you step
Kala
in.
natin si John
So-
Vic nga, parang wala na, no?
Oo.
Even
Well,
John
I
Vic himself
interviewed-
has given up.
I interviewed him and he said, no, I don't want to run for national office. He wants to go back to Cavite. So ito lang yung by area lang. Metro Manila, then Mindanao, as expected, Luzon and Visayas, etc. But, okay, Pom, did you want to say something?
Yeah. Okay. I actually wanted to comment after all the slides were
Okay,
shown.
yeah. So this is the last one.
Okay.
Yeah. Pero marami pa to ha. It's just that pinili ko lang
Well,
kasi.
yung sa akin lang, when you look at the survey numbers, and of course you see that a certain candidate is leading, and that candidate is not with the administration, obviously. Sa akin, it just highlights the nature of politics in the Philippines. No? Even and it just reinforces the fact na mataas talaga yung political risk sa atin. And kasi the political risk is, to me, it's partly the risk that many things will be reversed later. And that has severe consequences for many people. No? Investors might be wary of that. So even before there's election, hihina na sila. No? They won't be certain either after the election kasi kailangan investors don't operate that hindi sila magtataya unless they're confident in some sort of certainty, stability, So apart from the investors, the policies, ano mangyayari? Paksili ka, matutuloy ba 'yan? No, so these things, and these things, of course, hurt our country.
Yeah.
Whenever there are reversals of policies, whenever there's uncertainty, kasi the president makes very important decisions, and these decisions affect everybody. So, and that again, this is a commentary on the democracy that we have, the kind of political environment we have. No, so, and we are in a global environment where there's a lot of headwinds pa.
Yeah.
Diba?
Okay.
So, how are we going to catch up? How are we going to compete with Indonesia, Vietnam, and countries that are competing against us also for investment, where the investors like to see certainty, stability,
Continuity.
continuity.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to end na, and then the last question will be the surveys kasi show na Sara is running. So we are presuming that she survives the impeachment trial, therefore not convicted, acquitted, then she runs. But if the other scenario is if Sara is convicted in her impeachment trial, what is going to happen in 2028? Because there's also that question magkakaisa pa ba yung opposition or kanya-kanya siya or whatever, or what's going to happen naman dun sa Marcos administration, etc. And then I wanted you to answer that as the answer for the final question at the same time, final words. So let's start with Professor Pom, who gave President Marcos's fifth SONA a B. So great.
I hope I wasn't biased.
No one is biased here.
It made sense. It made sense.
Hindi, maganda nga B, C, D.
Just find it one.
So, so if Sara were impeached, diba, that's the scenario,
Convicted.
right?
No,
Or
impeached na siya,
convicted,
oo.
then she can't run, right?
Run, yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard to say kasi we're not so far. I myself I haven't thought about that. No. So again, that will impart a little bit of
Uncertainty.
instability. No.
Okay.
So the whole impeachment. No. So I hope we didn't have to go through this every administration or every other administration. No? So. Ayan. So hopefully we fix our rules, we fix our laws, so that there are good controls, and I hope we have good leaders that have the guts to do that in the future.
While we're still alive, sana, no?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Inday?
While I share the same hope, Marcos and Duterte, they're playing for keeps. And I don't think it's even 2028 ang nasa isip nila. They will make sure, either of them will make sure only one is left standing between now and 2028. And I think that makes me sound a little bit like a Sandra, but that's the more I see what the Marcos government is doing and what Sara has been talking about and the actions, the more I actually begin to fear that.
Which one do you fear?
That one, that scenario.
Either
that,
scenario.
They're not even looking at 2028. Either of them is going to make sure only one is left standing.
So which one would you prefer? A last man standing or last woman standing?
Oh, I don't like the man, but let's put it this way. If the woman is out of the picture, then I think everybody will have space to ensure, to check the man. I think at the moment people fear too much the potential of, a vengeful woman in power that they've tended to look away from the darker side of the Marcos administration. Maybe without her, then maybe we can all now again take him fully into account.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dean Tony.
If Sara Duterte was eliminated, taken out of the horse race because of the impeachment, it will be wide open on who will be the president. Who will be the leading candidate.
So we will have 10 candidates.
Well, it will eventually consolidate, right? For example, many might want to actually run at first. This will be, I think, similar to 1992 elections. That would be the nearest thing to it when many tried, because there was a space for do that. There'd be a space for a newcomer like Miriam Defensor Santiago, a space for a veteran politician, I think Leni Robredo might rethink, really, if in fact, because if you listen to her closely, one reason she doesn't want to run, because she actually thinks she will lose. That's from what I see behind the reasoning, that why should I run and lose when I'm doing really good things here in
when I can run in Naga
and do another three terms in Naga and do good things. It's like it's such a big sacrifice to do that, and I will lose. And the supporters of Leni are trying to convince her, you can actually win. But this kind of numbers show that she will not win. Honestly, yes, it's 10-15%, but that's still a huge lead even at this initial stage of the campaign, especially if you're not running. I mean, how will she catch up, di ba, if she's not running? She has to declare certainly
Now,
by
she has to declare na.
well, maybe not declare now, but show that she's running, which means every week she's into another city, another town, right, or has a national profile, like that, right? So, but if she might be convinced, because then she would probably be the leading candidate. Like if the 39% of Sara, right? Well, some would go to Bongo, I suppose, but they hate each other, so maybe that will not happen. No? I mean, some will go to Rafi Tulfo. Of course, Risa will gain. If the moment Lenny leaves, I think Risa will gain a lot. And if Bam also said that he will not run, then I think that those numbers will go to Risa. But just to finish, I want to do as a closing remark about this, though. I want to say that we are really at an inflection point in our politics now, because it's a point in our politics where the political system has really collapsed, was already collapsing before our very eyes, no? In the impeachment process, in the electoral system, in the dynasties. No? So, to believe it or not, I'm actually looking forward to what will happen, regardless of which house falls, because either way, there'll be a big change in the country, and that change will give us an opportunity to actually fix it in a much more fundamental way than elections. Otherwise, to be honest, we're old enough to know that 6 years is really nothing. I will just close my eyes, dream, and wait for Vico Soto in 2034. No, really, because I'm sure Vico Soto will win the elections in 2034. I think he'll be a very good president, di ba? These kids here, there's no need to be in despair, because, in 2034, Vico Soto will be president, and I know he's a different politician.
Yeah.
No, not even a 1% SOP. Use of savings, but pro-poor, pro-social justice, right? So I would just do that, but I don't want to wait until 2034. I'm 75 years old then, and so I hope that scenario that you said, I think gives Risa a better chance, gives maybe Rafi Tulfo will change his mind. I don't necessarily support Rafi Tulfo, but at least
Rafi says he doesn't even want to run.
Kasi sabi niya, okay na ako Senado.
If somebody steps down, I think Rafi could be convinced to be vice of anybody who's left. No? And ako naman, if Len, and I tend to believe Lenny doesn't want to run, but I think it would help if she comes out very clearly and says, I will back, I will stop for sino man ang mapili.
Pero it's been a series of surveys in the last few days na showing that she's number 2 and closing in on Sara, but she hasn't said anything. But anyway, okay, I think we're finished na. Ang dami nang napag-usapan, pati si Vico Soto sa 2034 for a first episode. Wow! So I just wanted to say,
ngumiti talaga sila.
Parang biglang nagising
Kasi kawawa talaga Pilipinas.
Anyway, well, I wanted to say at this point, thank you very much to the three of you. Dean Tony La Vina, thank you very much. Inday Espina-Varona, thank you very much. Maraming salamat. And former Finance Undersecretary Pompom, Reside, my batchmates at Ateneo. Thank you so much for joining me in this first episode. It's like hindi lang interview, parang epic novela na sa dami na napag-usapan natin. So thank you for joining me in this first episode of my interviews here in the Blue Room. And thank you all for watching. I'm Pia Hontiveros. See you again.
Talaga, tenista talaga si Pia.
That's my blue eagle up there. Okay, now let's eat. Can we eat?